What's up, guys? Adapark here, and today I want to do something fresh. I want to do something a little bit different. So we've been talking about how you and your group can improve themselves. How can you take yourself and elevate your group, your play style, your raid from an okay, average, everyday, run-of-the-mill, whatever, to an amazing raider, an amazing guild leader, an amazing officer, all these things. And we have a few more to do. However, I kind of want to take a break from that, and I want to show you guys the practical app, the actual real life implementation of what I'm talking about here. So the way we're going to do this is actually fairly easy. There has been a post on the USMC subreddit about 3 months ago, and someone asked a very simple question. Of the Marines on this subreddit, what is the best and worst officer that you have served under? And it's a very simple question, but the information provided, you guys can glean so much. So this is, while relevant, I would say, to the vast majority of the improving yourself, I want to focus on my raid, my guild leaders, my officers, things like that. But that doesn't mean that you guys in general cannot learn from this. So there were quite a few posts on here. I'm not going to go through all of them today. We're going to go over 3 of them, and then we're going to do a couple more videos, and go over some more. And I want to talk about them. I want to bring up some discussion about them. So as a fair warning, when we get into it, there is a little bit of military jargon. I will explain it to the best of my ability, but here it goes. So the first one here, the best was my first platoon commander. Prior enlisted, seriously dedicated to the study of infantry tactics, held us to the highest standards of PT, field knowledge, comm skills, and marksmanship, range and practical. He made us calibrate our compasses and zero our mills gear, and he had an irritating Boston accent. But he didn't believe in fuck games. Worst was a company commander who basically got fired. He was incompetent in a way that made me think he saw too many 80s movies with dumb officers and tried to recreate them. I drove for him at 29 Palms, and he had had to covertly navigate with him. Sorry, there's some typos in here. For him and take an ass chewing for turning the wrong way, even though I went the way he wanted me to go. I would have wound up in an impact area. He was petty and mean in a way only a stupid person can be. I hope he's fucking dead. So let's look at that one here. Let's look at the best officer that this guy has served under. This is an officer that was prior enlisted, meaning this guy was a private first class. He went through enlisted boot camp, at Paris Island or San Diego, which means he has the experience that the junior Marines have. So you look at this from a rating perspective, this is not a guy who has created his own guild. This is a guy that was a raider, that was a new probie, eval, trial member that went through the ranks and is now an officer, a raid leader, a guild leader. He has experience about what you have gone through. He is very dedicated to the study of his craft. That means comm skills, field knowledge, PT, marksmanship, both practical app, meaning clearing houses, unknown distance courses, and the range, which means the 200, 300, and 500 meter range that every Marine shoots at least twice a year. They were held to the highest standards, or high standards, meaning he didn't let shit slide. But at the same time, he was making sure that he improved his Marines, that they got plenty of practice with their mills gear, with compasses, with zeroing their equipment. Basically, they checked everything. And when they were done checking it, they checked it again, over and over again. But at the end of the day, nobody fucked with his guys because he had everything taken care of, and he was the one that would take care of you. We look at the worst one here. This company commander was incompetent. Very clearly right there. That as an officer, and as an officer in the military, let me be clear, and as a leader in a video game. If you're incompetent, people are going to pick up on that extremely quickly. Why should I listen to this guy bitch about my DPS not being high enough when his isn't high enough? Her healing's not high enough. He can't even tank. He can't even hold aggro. She doesn't even understand how the fight goes. Why should I listen to her? He blamed other people for his mistakes. That right there is an immediate hell no. That is an immediate loss of respect, loss of that trust that you impart into your leadership. You trust innately in your boss. In a perfect world, you trust in your leadership. And when they turn their back on you like that, it destroys that trust. He's petty. The small things. We look at officers, whether it's in the military, it's in your guild, it's the higher ranking management at work. These guys are the upper echelon. They have the perks. They shouldn't be petty about things. And this guy was. And he was mean. There's a difference between, being fair, pushing your guys, having high standards, and being mean. There's a very thin line between those two. And I've advocated before getting mean, being mean. But what I mean by that, rather, is push people. Don't take shit from people. Make sure that people are doing what they need to do. Don't be a dick. And this guy was a dick. So let's take a look at the second one here. Hard to say best, but worst is easy. Major, who is the battalion XO, so the second in command for the battalion, served as the CO, the company commander, the top dog for the battalion, while the actual CO was in Afghanistan with half the battalion. Lost a couple of guys in like the first month or so they were there. He has a formation to tell everyone about the latest guy that was killed, but he gets the guy's name wrong. Decided at that moment I was getting out. So obviously no example for this second post about the best officer. But the worst is very easy. This officer, this battalion commander, this acting battalion commander, the highest ranking guy in the battalion, 1,000 troops, can't even get the name of a Marine that just died right in front of all of his troops. I mean, that is incompetency on a stellar scale. And these are the things that we're talking about when we say, make sure you're calling out, if you need to know people's names. You need to be able to call out people's names. You need to understand what people are doing. The being competent not only with what role you're filling, if you're DPSing, healing, tanking, but knowing what's going on with people. And to not even at the most important time to get it right, you failed as a leader. And as a result, and this guy says, decided at that moment I was getting out. So let's extrapolate that and look at in a guild perspective. If you have an officer that at the very moment that you need to know something, you need to know if a guild policy is in effect, if loot's going to this person, if whatever the case might be. If it's important to me and you get it wrong, and you get it wrong on a stellar scale, the guild rules and regulations say, here's how we should do loot, here's how we should do guild invites, here's how we should do things, but you switch it up, you don't get it right just because you are misinformed, you are doing it wrong. Fuck it, I'm out. Why would I stay with you guys? So we'll do one more for the night. So the best was my first. He was a Chief Warrant Officer 4. So as a side note, Chief Warrant Officers are enlisted personnel that do not go through officer candidate school. Instead, they go through a completely different path, a process. They are a warrant officer. They are an enlisted personnel that warrants an officer rank. It's a little bit weird, but suffice to say, Chief Warrant Officer. We called him Grandpa. No one, and I mean no one, fucked with him or his boys. Great officer, led by example from the front. Worst officer was a lieutenant colonel I had to deal with. Arrogant and unwilling to listen to reason. retired at that rank because he pissed off too many people. Sometimes you're the smartest guy in the room, but when you're not, you need to shut the fuck up and listen. He didn't do that. So, again, we'll look at both of them here. The best. Chief Warrant Officer 4, like I mentioned before, is prior enlisted, meaning he has the experience. He has seen what you as a raider go through. You know, he knows what the privates go through, what the lance corporals go through, what the sergeants go through, because he's been there. He's prior enlisted. He has that experience. He stands up for his people. He doesn't let shit fall on them. He stands up for them. Nobody screws with him. Nobody screws with his guys. Now, more than likely, the reason why nobody's fucking with these guys is because, just like that first guy on the list, he probably held them to a high standard. He probably pushed them to that high standard. And when they failed, he picked them up. He still pushed them, but he picked them up. And he led from the front. That right there, and we're going to do so many videos on that right there. But leading from the front is the most important thing that you can do as a leader. You want to talk about the raid's DPS, but your DPS sucks. You're not leading from the front. You know, you need to show people. Don't just tell them. Show them. And that's what this guy did. The worst, as this Marine said, was a lieutenant colonel that was arrogant. He didn't listen to people. He thought that he was the most important, highest, greatest, the Kanye of all Kanyes. This guy was the top dog. He thought he was the shit. And in fact, he was shit. He didn't listen to others. And while, yes, I'm the guild leader. Yes, I am the raid leader. I would be foolish to not listen to my officers. I would be foolish to not consider their input, because they've seen other things. They've had other experiences. One of my officers is a fresh officer. He has never led anything. And he gives me a perspective. And then I have another guy who has leadership experience. He has led guilds. He has led raids. And I get that experience, and I'm able to listen to those. And I may not agree with it. I may not follow what they want me to do. But at the very least, unlike this lieutenant colonel, you should be listening to those that you are employing and putting in those positions. You are paying them, in air quotes, to provide you feedback. So don't not take it. With that being said, hopefully you guys like what I'm saying here. If you do, you guys know the deal. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Both of those things encourage me a great deal to continue making content like this. If you like this, please let me know, and we'll do a couple more of them. I think we have enough content for probably 2 or 3 more of them. If you don't like it, let me know in the comments below. What am I doing wrong? Give me some feedback about the best and worst things. I would greatly appreciate that. And until next time, guys, I'll see you.